You're listening to Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum. Thank you for listening today. I always say it. Thanks for tuning in. Without you, where are we, Ryan?
God.
God.
I don't know. The infinite space between us and God.
Yeah, I think that's where we are. We need you. We love you. We love that you tune in. I hope you're having a glorious week. Hopefully you're taking care of yourself, doing something productive, having a little purpose in your life.
Yeah.
You know, my good buddy Preston Christensen, he's 16 years old. He has terminal cancer, and I love the kid. And going to visit him and his family, and it's tough, man. You see a little kid so bright, so cheerful, so lovable, so smart and creative, and it just sucks, man. But he's so strong. It's like, I wish I was half as strong as this guy. But I want to give a shout out to him. He's a beautiful, beautiful soul, and we probably have to play one of his songs. He has a song that he's never really sang other than playing a little guitar, but he recorded a song.
That's
so
nice.
Actually,
Does it,
I have to edit this.
is it streamable?
No, it was
It's
just he did a cover of a Blake Shelton song.
Oh, cool.
He's 16. He's never been in a recording studio before, and
You do this at home or do you do this in a studio?
no studio, but he just sang. They already had the music ready.
Never thought you'd pick up the phone. It's Friday night. You should be out on the town. Didn't think you'd be sitting at home all alone like me. Nothing on TV, nothing to do, nothing to keep my mind off you and me.
Pretty good, huh?
The way it was,
It's really good.
about it now because I could be there in 5.
I'm so proud of him.
One last time.
Listen to this chorus here.
We don't have to be lonely tonight. Need you, want you, I'm right here. We don't have to be lonely.
Anyway, big shout out to Preston. He's a killer. He's a man of many talents, and I love him, and I love Michelle and Chris and the family. Thinking about you guys, and hey, I'm thinking positively. That's what I'm doing. Thinking positively. Great guest today, David Dastmalchian. If you don't know him, you should. Great story. He's Polka-Dot Man in the Suicide Squad movie. He's in Dune. He's always working now, and he is such an amazing person.
Ant-Man.
Ant-Man.
The crazy guy from Dark Knight.
Yep.
That's a very famous scene.
He's just done a lot of great stuff, and he's going to get big and big. I see his Instagram just exploding, and after Suicide Squad. So I loved having him on the podcast. We're going to get right into that. But first, thank you for joining me this last Saturday on Stage It. We had two shows. We had my buddy Tom Lally, who's in Left on Laurel with me, and he joined Sunspin, and we sang some old Left on Laurel songs, and it was a blast. Also, I'll be in Detroit with Tom Welling, and we'll do a Smallville Nights on December 15th, that weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So make sure you get tickets for the Detroit Con. And also, if you want to give back to the podcast, some people really support the podcast. So many great patrons, but go to patreon.com/inside of you and join Patreon. And so many great friendships have
Spawned.
materialized. There we go.
Come to be.
Our handles are at Inside of You Podcast on the Instagram and Facebook, and at Inside of You Pod on the Twitter. I hope you'll continue to support us and listen to the podcast. There's so many podcasts out there, but hopefully every week you're listening to this one at least once or twice and telling all your friends. Please do. We're also available on YouTube if you want to watch it, which is always fun. But right now, let's get into my dear friend, great guy, David Dastmalchian.
It's my point of view. You're listening to Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum.
Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum was not recorded in front of a live studio audience.
Dude, it's great to see you. Where are you?
I'm in Malta, the beautiful island country of Malta, which is about I don't know, 100 miles, maybe not even 50 miles south of Sicily. So we're in the middle of the Mediterranean, and I'm on my last leg of a very long and exhausting shoot. So it's so nice to see you. This is like, you're the glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel for me, that like, I'm coming home.
Yes. Well, we all miss you. What are you shooting?
It's a film called The Last Voyage of the Demeter, and it's interesting story. It is lifted from a chapter from Bram Stoker's Dracula, and it's actually a story that, because I write as well, and it's a story I've always wanted to write into a screenplay. It's a fascinating tale. It reminds me of kind of like Alien, except set on a schooner in 1897. So it's the boat that travels from Bulgaria to London, and the crew doesn't realize that in the hold is the Prince of Darkness himself, Dracula, and all of his belongings, because he's moving himself to Carfax Abbey in London. So the whole film takes place on this ship from beginning to end, and
wow.
We've been living the life of, it feels like I've been at sea for 4.5 months, man.
How many crew members got sick?
Oh, you know what? We did a sailing thing, but most of the time we're on a controlled. We're in this giant tank on the edge of the sea. So, and it's like an infinity pool, like optical illusion. So I don't know, because if someone got sick, they weren't stuck with us. They could just hop off and get away. But
Right.
I saw at least 4 or 5 people, and we're on what do you call them? You know, the things that make something shake.
What is that, Ryan?
Always like, doing this number and
right, effects machines or whatever that just kind of turn the boat and things like that. Wow, yeah. And you wrote this?
No, I didn't. Sorry, I didn't. I always wanted to.
Write this.
Then, about 2 years ago, I pitched the idea to a friend who's an exec, who said, there's already a script and it's amazing and it's being made by Amblin. And then I just did everything I could to get an audition for the film, which I did, and miraculously I got cast. So
are you serious? What are the odds of that? You want to do something, you find out there's a script, you get an audition, and you get the part?
I hadn't gone this hard and heavy after something in, I feel like, since maybe like theater day. Like, I chased this thing, fought for this thing. I put together the best tape, because this is COVID times. I had to tape this audition with my lovely, understanding, and patient wife, who helped me. Is 3 massive setups for the audition, big dialect work. It's a period piece. It's a character that's very much not like anything I've had the privilege of doing before. He moves differently than I've ever moved. He speaks differently than I've ever spoken. And so it was like, I almost built a whole character just for I did. I built a whole role for just the audition. And when I sent it off, I honestly had a lot of peace, because I said, there's just no way. There's just no way. And then lo and behold, like a few weeks later.
Well, what did you do though? Like, when you said, like, yourself, what we do here, if you're listening, you don't understand the process, is a lot of times you self-tape, especially with COVID, you put yourself on tape. Now, your background, a lot of people would just use the background you have, a hotel room or wherever you're staying, and they'll just read the scene and hopefully they get cast. But you did more than that.
Yeah. So we were renting a house in Burbank because there was some emergency construction that we were having to do at our house. And so we were renting this house, and the bedroom, for some reason, they had these drawstring curtains. I could never figured out what they were for. Not for the windows, like going over the closet or going over one of the walls. I don't know. But there's 3 scenes that they sent me. Each one was 3 to 5 pages. It was a grand total of like 12 pages of scene work. And the first scene is my character, who is the first mate of this ship. He's trying to round up a crew, and it's a very loud, abrasive kind of scene. Then there's a very confrontational scene, which takes place in the hold of the boat. which I wanted to do a completely different setup. So I did that against like a big wooden, dresser. It looked like there was some wood, maybe it felt like a boat. Wow. And then for the last one, it was a really emotional scene, and we framed the camera like as close as probably I am here with you. And I just, you got to just shoot for the fucking, sorry.
You can say the F. Dude, we F all the time on this show.
Oh, okay. You got to shoot for the fucking fence. You got to go. You got to swing. And I reached out. The character I play is Polish. So I reached out to my friend who is big in, he's a linguist and he's connected to people all over the language community, because I didn't want to go to a dialect coach. I wanted to actually work with a Polish speaker to get some specific nuance. And when that wonderful person agreed to work with me for the audition, I said, if I book this, I'm going to hire you as my dialect coach. I put it out in the universe and I booked it, and then I hired them to be my dialect coach, and they've become a good friend.
Did they come out with you, or they live in Poland, and we did all of our work through Zoom, but they have a background in theater, and they never worked professionally as a dialect coach, especially for a movie. Are you kidding? And they were like, right. This is so cool. So we had them down to Berlin, because we were shooting in Berlin for the first few months. So they came down to Berlin, and they got to come to, because of COVID again, it's like so ridiculous. Like they can't come within 400 feet of the whatever, but they got to at least we shot the Berlin stuff at Babelsberg Studios, which anyone watching, look it up. It's one of the most historic film studios in the world. I want to say it's the oldest. I could be wrong. I have my little book on 100 facts about Babelsberg, but it's really amazing place where they filmed Metropolis, Fritz Lang's Metropolis. They filmed tons of, Marlene Dietrich stuff. And so anyway, yeah, they came and hung out, and you really do the work. Like I hear a lot of actors, and a lot of times we'll just do it, whatever, but you really dive into something, and especially an audition that you don't know you're going to get, and you're probably thinking, I probably won't get it. I don't know what your mindset is. But to work so hard on 15 pages of dialogue and different setups and working with a dialects coach, I mean, that's extreme to try and get a role, but you think that that's the way you get roles. That's what you're saying.
What works for me, and I think this is everyone's journey, as you know, is so specific to the individual. It's so weird what we do. And the whole path is so strange and elusive, and it feels so much like the lottery so often. So the things that are within my control, which I can have some say-so in, is my energy and where I'm going to put the energy. And when it comes to something that I want to go after, like doggedly, like there's something that I know I will focus the energy on that, and possibly maybe not do 5 or 6 auditions in a month, but maybe just focus on that one or that 2 thing, but give it all I've got, which is really tricky, and it's risky, and it takes a lot of overcoming my fear, because you second guess yourself a lot and you go, oh, maybe I would have done better. Maybe that other one would have been easier. Maybe, but I try to make really, and this, like I said, this was a story that when I first read Dracula, 20 years ago, probably, I've read the book numerous times since. I always said, Rosie, like, what a story. I mean, it's like Alien at Sea in the 1800s. It's like, it's so scary. And I think that the guy who's directing it, his name's Andre Overdahl. He made a film called Troll Hunter. He made
oh my God. Yeah, guys, if you have not seen Troll Hunter, it is awesome. It's a movie.
God, dude, he's such a visionary. He did The Autopsy of Jane Doe, which I loved. He did Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, which I went and saw when I was in it by myself in a movie theater. I loved it.
You're in good hands.
But he is, and to go, by the way, just saying, going along with the audition tape, I wrote a letter to the director, telling him not only my, passion for the material, but, that how much I loved troll hunter. And also, I don't know if you know this about me, but when I was in college, I went to the theater school, DePaul, which is where Sean Gunn, which is where Michael Rooker, which is where Judy Greer, a bunch of our friends went. But when I was there, I was on a scholarship for academics, but I didn't have any money to pay for my housing. So I had to take a break from school, and I went to Alaska and lived as a fisherman on a boat for a year. And then I did it several times after. And being at sea is something I always thought was going to be part of my life. And then obviously acting became my
and you told him this. You told him this.
I did. I said, I've lived on a boat. I think I could offer some insights.
Wow.
I think you're amazing. And I of course tried to be as gracious as possible. Like, obviously, I cheer for this film no matter whether I'm involved or not. I know you're going to make an awesome movie. And then I got the call.
Inside of You is brought to you by my good friends at BetterHelp. BetterHelp online therapy. This is working. I don't know how many people have come up to me, Ryan, at conventions saying, I tried BetterHelp. It's really saving my life. It's really helping me. One of those people is Ryan.
It's helping me. It's a helpful service.
And it's
in the name, help.
BetterHelp.
BetterHelp.
And did you get a new therapist?
I did. Yeah, just recently.
Right, because Ryan had a therapist, and so he wanted another therapist, and so that's what's happened. It's so easy. BetterHelp Online Therapy really has done a great job, and I really appreciate having them on the as a sponsor. They're just so fitting. That's what we do here. We talk about a lot of things: depression, anxiety. Look, whether you're struggling with grief, relationships, or stress, or you're having trouble sleeping or meeting goals, online therapy might be for you. BetterHelp is secure online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with a licensed professional therapist. BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own accredited therapist. You can start communicating in under 48 hours, and you don't have to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room. Therapists have a broad range of expertise, which may not be available in your area. The service is available for clients worldwide. You can log into your account anytime and send a message to your therapist. You'll get timely and thoughtful responses, plus you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions. It's really amazing and easy. And BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, so they make it easy and free to change therapist if you need, like Ryan. It's also more affordable than traditional offline therapy, and financial aid is available. I'm telling you, offline therapy is so much more expensive. Coming from someone who has gone through a lot of therapy, I'm telling you, this is the way to go. It's easy. Visit betterhelp.com/inside and join the over 2 million people who have taken charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. Inside of You is sponsored by BetterHelp, and our listeners get 10% off their first month of online therapy at betterhelp.com/inside. That's BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/inside. BetterHelp online therapy. Try it, folks. Inside of You is brought to you by M1 Finance. There's a reason they call M1 Finance the finance super app. This all-in-one app makes it easy as pie to invest, borrow, and spend exactly how you want. Build a portfolio of stocks or ETFs in minutes with their intuitive Pies interface, or use a pre-built expert pie that invests according to your goals. Investing involves risk, and M1 helps you invest according to your risk tolerance. Borrow against your portfolio with some of the lowest rates in the market, then use it however you want. Keep in mind, borrowing increases your risk and rates may vary. Or stash your cash in their free digital checking account. It's fast, it's easy, and it saves you tons of time, and time is money. Switch to a sleeker, easier, and better way to manage your money. Plus, get a $30 bonus to your M1 Invest account when you get approved, and fund it with $1,000 within your first 14 days. Just go to m1finance.com/ for more info. That's finance.com. Terms and conditions apply. Inside of You is brought to you by Helix Sleep. I don't know about you, but if I have a crappy bed or if I don't sleep, I'm effed. Do you understand? I'm effed.
I understand.
Everybody is.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Do you have a good bed?
I have an okay bed.
Well, you need to get a better bed.
I probably do.
Helix Sleep. Maybe Helix will hook us up with the mattress for you.
I mean, I wouldn't say no.
I look, it's extremely comfortable, these beds. And I know from back surgeries, from neck surgeries, from that, having a comfortable bed is the most important thing you could possibly do. It's how you start every day. And if you're feeling like crap, well, crap. Helix Sleep has a quiz that takes just 2 minutes to complete and matches your body type and sleep preferences to the perfect mattress for you. Why would you buy a mattress made for someone else? With Helix, you're getting a mattress that you know will be perfect for the way you sleep.
Everybody's unique, and Helix knows that. So they have several different mattress models to choose from. They have soft, medium, and firm mattresses. Mattresses great for cooling you down if you sleep hot, and even a Helix Plus mattress for plus-size sleepers.
I have the medium. I have the medium mattress because, it's like the porridge. You don't want too hot. You don't want too cold. You don't want too hard. You don't want too soft. Look, I took the Helix quiz. I was a medium. It worked out for me. It's so easy. You take this little quiz and they really get to know you and what you like, and it just helps out for the whole. Usually you buy a mattress, you don't know what you're getting. I think with Helix Sleep, you do. It's been awesome getting messages from so many of you who also found the Helix mattress of your dreams. So if you're looking for a mattress, you take the quiz, you order the mattress that you're matched to, and the mattress comes right to your door, shipped for free. You don't ever need to go to a mattress store again. Just go to helixsleep.com/inside, HELIX sleep.com/inside. You take their 2-minute quiz, and they'll match you to a customized mattress that will give you the best sleep of your life. And they have a 10-year warranty. You get to try it out for 100 nights, risk-free, folks. They'll even pick it up for you if you don't love it, but you will. Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattresses ordered. Well, let me say that again. I almost made it through. Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners at helixsleep.com/inside. That's helixsleep.com/inside for up to $200 off and 2 free pillows. Was it more than that one audition, or was that it? Was that enough?
That was it. That was it. And so to give your viewers a little context too, I have been without the benefit of representation, either management or agent, for it was about four years when I booked this job. It had been since the end of 2016.
Wait a minute. You represent yourself?
I did. And then just in the last month, I've actually found a partnership that I really like for management. But I did represent myself. I have a great attorney who handles my, contract negotiations. And he is, when I land the job, then I pass everything over to him. But I have been kind of hunting and chasing. So with this particular job, I found out who was casting it. I reached out to them directly and sent my materials over. And then they said, there's really nothing for you in this film. But that was all I heard. And then about 2 weeks later, I have a mutual contact with the director. I had said, please, let Andre know if there's anything I could do. And the friend said, he said, you're a fantastic actor. There's nothing for you in this film.
What?
And then I said, okay, I tried. I did my best. Another week later, I got an email from the casting director saying, we know this is not your normal wheelhouse, but if you want to take a stab at this character, we'd love to see what you would do with it. And again, I read it and I was like, holy crap, I've never done anything like this in my career. This character is so, I understand him, but yet I've never had the opportunity to get to bring someone like him to life. And so I threw myself into it. I sent that audition tape, the letter and everything to casting. About a month went by. And at that point, I was starting to look at, okay, what's my next passionate thing? Is there something else out there that I really want to fight for or go after? And I wasn't. Nothing was definitely coming in my whatever radius. And I sent an email to the casting director and I said, just checking in. And they wrote back and they said, actually, the director really loved your material, but we're still a ways away from making a decision. Well, a TV show, a very cool seeming TV show, emailed me and said, we are our producers and director are interested in having you be a part of this show. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. Thank you. And I immediately went back to the casting director and I said, this offer is coming in now to go and I'll be out of the touch for like 5 months. So I just want to make sure, and they wrote back, thank you, but there's no way, we can't make a decision for a while.
I like the sort of like the way your mind works, how you did that. It was kind of a manipulation in a good way. Like, hey, I just got hired for something. I really want to do this project. Are you sure you're? But okay, so go ahead. This is good.
Well, and then Friday morning, I was in the shower. I had a phone call ringing from a 310 Beverly Hills number. And I answered it, and it was the business affairs office from Amblin Entertainment calling to say they wanted to start contract negotiations on the movie.
Holy shit.
And I was butt naked, and I ran out of the shower, and I grabbed Eve, and yeah.
My God. The work. By the way, can I hear it? Or, I mean, I know most actors don't want to do this, but can I hear a Polish accent just a little?
Here's the thing about Polish, what's different because if you've seen any of some of the recent years' work I've been doing with like Eastern European characters, I've definitely done Russian in several roles, and I've done it was because the character was kind of disguising himself, but like a very blanket Eastern European. And
that's good.
So with Polish, one of the things I found to be quite different was some of the rounding of the vowels. And even the way, like if you're thinking about something, you and I might go, when you're in character and you're trying to like communicate that like you're considering something, there's these little minutia details that I was so grateful to have Han, my friend who dialect coached me, because I'd be like practicing a line and be like, and they would be like, no, we don't do that. We say, I do it.
I want to learn. Like, give me a sentence. See if I could do it. Go ahead.
Okay. How about this is a simple one? Pull, you bastards, pull. He's just saying pull, you bastards, pull.
Pull, you bastards, pull.
You bastards, and roll that R at
bastards.
the end of bastards.
Pull, you bastards, pull.
Come on, man. Join the boat.
Join the boat. Oh, man.
It's a cool cast, too, because it's got, I'm the only Polish character. There's a Russian character. There's a Norwegian character. There's several English characters. 2 Irish characters.
I want to see this. This sounds so cool. What's it called again so we can look out for? I don't know when it's going to come out because you're just still filming it. What's it called so people put it on the radar?
It's called Last Voyage of the Demeter, although who knows what it'll be called when it comes out a year from now, It might be called like Vampire Boat. Who knows?
Or it could be called Dracula's Journey or The Prince's Journey.
The SS Dracula.
SS Dracula. I am Dracula. Remember Gary Oldman? I am Dracula. He was so good in that. God, Mina, I have. What is it? Mina, I have. What is the big saying? I have it on my poster because he signed it to me. I have crossed oceans of time to find you. Didn't you love him in that?
He's so great, man. He's so great in everything. But Coppola's Dracula is like go-to for me. And there is, if you go back and watch the movie, there's a little snippet where you see the boat come into port in London. You see a wolf jump off of the deck. That's Dracula. And that was, so this movie is about that whole journey of that boat. Because in the book, the boat comes to port and there's nobody on board except for the captain who's lashed to the wheel, and so you got to see what happens.
Wait a minute, though. Are you saying that the Polish guy dies? I just became a Jew. My character was too Jewish there.
I would never say that. I look at every movie as if I'm the hero of the movie, so my characters never die.
You know what's funny is that I was talking to my engineer Ryan. Ryan, say hi.
Hi.
Hi, Ryan.
And you can't see Ryan, but you should. He's a very handsome man. But, you know, I was like, you know, if you say David Dastmalchian, a lot of people wouldn't know who you were talking about. If you said Michael Rosenbaum, a lot of people wouldn't know what you were talking about. If they saw your face, though, that's what he said. He goes, when you see his face, you're like, oh, I've seen him. I've seen him in a lot of things. And you're kind of like that guy who's done a lot of great work, but like this character actor. And then you start to dissect it and you're like, okay, and how old are you?
45.
45. Wow, you don't look 45. You look younger. I'm not hitting on you either.
Thank you.
Yes, it's all the Evian skin cream. But a movie comes along like Suicide Squad, and we'll get into that. But like, I look online and there's a McFarlane figure of you now. Do you know that? And it looks like you. I don't have any doll that looks like me. I mean, you know you've made it when McFarlane makes a doll of you. I mean, it's a huge thing because you've been doing all these characters. You're a writer. You're a director. You've been through it all. And at 45, you land a role. And I noticed this because I kept checking, because I'm weird, that your Instagram just kept going up and up. It was like 120, 140, 160, 200, 220, 240. Like all these people are following you, and your IMD Pro meter number was just going down and down and down, and down's good because the lower numbers is. And I'm like, good for fucking Dave Dastmalchian. I mean, how do you feel right now? And we're going to get into this because I want to go back in time a little bit. But how are you feeling about all this?
Thank you for asking. Thank you for the compliments. I love you. You know, I'm a huge fan of your work, and I've been a fan of your work since long before I actually met you in person on the back porch at James Gunn's house. I've been a fan of yours for a very long time. So that's very nice and touches my heart. Thank you very much. Two things. The first is I have been in a bubble since June. I was in Berlin with my family, and then to Malta come, beginning of August. And in both of those bubbles, we are not only in a COVID bubble for production, but also the bubble of like my reality has been being on this boat fighting Dracula or being with my family, and completely out of touch with everything that's going on in the rest of my life, including, family back home and my things happening with my career back home. And so my kind of context and connection to all of this has been through social media and like texts and my phone. And so that has been weird, but nice. People have been very nice, and thank God, people have been very supportive of some of the stuff recently that's, blown up. But the other thing, and I'm glad, and I hope we can talk about this today, because I know you're not going to shy away from talking about, the stuff that is a little more, awkward or uncomfortable. And I've been wrestling with this. I've been in kind of I've been definitely below my baseline, erring towards the depressive, because I can go down to deep depression, and I can go way up into, high anxiety and manic modes. And so finding my baseline is kind of part of my daily journey, if you will. It's my lifelong journey, just being at peace and serene with like that baseline. I'm struggling with the fact that I feel so grateful that, like you're saying, like my followers all of a sudden doubled and tripled and quadrupled, and people were being so gracious and kind, and neat new professional opportunities were kind of flowering, and lots of exciting, wonderful, neat things happening. And yet my family had to leave and go back to the US about a month ago. And that's really hard for me. They are a big part of my, not only my support system, but kind of just probably in an unhealthy way. I am insanely dependent upon even the kids for a lot of my settling and baselining, and I need to work on that because I am a grown adult, and I should be able to do that without, leaning on others. But they're a big part of that. And And I faced some really difficult moments in the course of making this film that I'm working on that made me feel dark. And those were both creative moments and also just production moments, to be quite frank. And someday we'll have coffee and I can download you on all of it. But it just needless to say, you know, sometimes this business can really make you really hurt. And so all these wonderful things are happening. And then at night, I'm laying there feeling really blue and dark. And I've been wrestling with this kind of a sense of guilt over not just being like so happy all the time that like James's movie turned out so awesome and people loved it. And, you know, Polka-Dot Man's so cool and the Dune stuff looks so cool. And so many neat things are happening. And so that I've been wrestling, to be honest, lately.
In other words, you're wrestling with the fact that you have so much to be grateful for, but you feel so down, which is making you upset that you're feeling so down about all the good that's happening around you, and you can't quite understand it or wrap your head around it. But maybe is it something that you've dealt with your whole life, where you know you have ups, but you're still feeling down? I mean, this isn't something that's just happened on this movie set.
Absolutely not, and I've definitely been. It's been some insanely challenging, you know, things and just some chemical things, I'm sure, you know, just my brain naturally, some reaction to, I think, the overwhelming sense that a lot of people were like looking at you. You know, that's a weird thing when you're in a TV show or when you're in a movie and all of a sudden you realize how many people are just like looking at you, and you become you can become like grossly self-conscious. I mean, I'm sure all of us experience that as actors. And so I am, as we speak, doing the work, like getting up early, trying my best to make sure I get out of bed when I don't have to, even though I would be tempted to stay in it for too long, trying to eat well, trying to do my yoga, trying to do my meditations, doing my therapy. And I guess I just always look at these public conversations as like an opportunity to hopefully, if anybody's listening, that seems like, my God, I have a beautiful partner. I have a job that I love. I have things that I love. And yet I still feel like I've got the blues. What's wrong with me? The answer is nothing. Nothing's wrong with you. This is just an unfortunate paradox of, you know, the human psyche sometimes. And I think I just happen to be in it. So you did not ask for that.
No,
Yes,
I welcome,
sorry,
know that I welcome that on this show, especially with people listening, because I think everybody just assumes that we all are happy and we should be grateful, and we are, but there's a thing called mental illness. There's a thing called depression. There's a thing called anxiety. There's a thing that a lot of us get, and a lot of my guests that are big stars, and they get it. And it's sort of, we've got to sort of break the norm of, you know, what's, you know, supposed, you know, we're not supposed to be depressed. Of course we are. We're fucking human beings. This is just life. Inside of You is brought to you by Geico, our good friends at Geico. We've talked about this, folks. If you want groceries, you get Instacart, right? Or whatever. You get somebody who delivers something to you, so you don't have to leave the house. That's me. A lot of us don't want to be inconvenienced. Well, Geico has a similarity. Whether you rent or own your home, it's hard work. And you know what's easy? Bundling policies with Geico. Geico makes it so easy to bundle your homeowners or renters insurance along with your auto policy. It's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around the house. So you just need to do this. You just need to go to geico.com. You get a quote and see how much you could save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com. Inside of You is brought to you by Keeps. Listen, if you're going bald, you want to hear this, because I have a lot of friends who are balding, and I've told them about Keeps, and they are doing it. And let me tell you, this stuff works. I'm going to get into this. 2 out of 3 men will experience some form of hair loss by the time they're 35. That includes me and Ryan here. More than 50 million men in the U.S. suffer from male pattern baldness, and there are only 2 FDA-approved medications that can prevent hair loss. Guess what? Keeps offers both. So if you're still listening and you're still, saying, "Oh, I don't know what to do," you should try this. You should try it because it's FDA approved, and there's only 2 of them that are FDA approved. And well, I'm telling you right now, it seems to work for many, many people. Keeps offers a simple, stress-free way to keep your hair. Convenient virtual doctor consultations and medications delivered straight to your door every 3 months. You don't have to leave your home. You know, I don't like to leave my home. Ryan?
I don't like leaving my home either.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Low cost. Treatments start at just $10 per month, and Keeps offers generic versions.
Discreet packaging and proven results.
Keeps has more 5-star reviews than any of its competitors.
Prevention is key, folks. Treatments can take 4 to 6 months to see results, so act fast. And if you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, it's easy. You go to keeps.com/inside of you to receive your first month of treatment for free. That's Keeps. keeps.com/inside of you to get your first month free. keeps.com/inside of you. But you've been dealing with this your whole life. I mean, you know, we could go back to, and I didn't know this until recently, but you're so open about it that, you know, you had a heroin addiction. I mean, and how old were you when this happened?
I first started using when I was around 18, and that evolved into full-time usage by, 18 was like experimenting with all different kinds of opiates, but then I started using full-time from 21 to 26, right. Which is when I got clean. Man, now I got to do the math. But yeah, I want to say 26 or 27.
Wow, that's a long time, because most of the time you hear if you do heroin once, you're going to die because you're going to, you know.
I am so lucky, and I use that word delicately, because yes, I did work hard. Yes, I got the support of an amazing recovery support group. And, you know, I had family that, even though they had to like write me off and not write me off, they had to cut me off and tough love me and like not pick up the phone. They never gave up on me. If that right. makes sense. You know, I think in recovery, it's so tempting to like let the person crash on your couch, let the person borrow $50, let the person get a new phone. They had to cut that shit out, but they always said, "We're here, we love you," blah blah blah, and friends too. But luck, I do feel this immense, and that's one of the things that helps me on this journey of battling my blues, is every day taking an inventory of things that I'm grateful for. And I have so much to be grateful for, not least of which is the fact that I'm just alive, that I didn't end up in prison, that I didn't end up dead. And I'm here. So it's nothing short of a miracle. And
so you say your gratitudes every day. You say your gratitudes in the morning.
I do my best. I fail sometimes, but when I'm pissed off and feeling resentful, sometimes I'm like, fuck. Why? Blah, 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 you know, and then take some breathing. If you can just give 5 minutes to shift the way you're breathing and the way your body's like contacting space, it always helps. Again, anybody watching, like, it sounds so ridiculous and new agey, but like, if you can give yourself a timeout and just take 5 minutes to change the way you're breathing, the way your brain is getting its oxygen, everything, then I can go over and be like, oh my God, Eve married me. That's all I have to say for the rest of my life. She fucking married me. Like, that's gratitude forever. That's an endless fountain of fucking gratitude. I have beautiful kids. I have incredible friends. I'm clean and sober, you know, miraculously for another day. I'll never wave a victory flag or say that I've defeated the monster that is addiction. I believe that, you know, it lives around, always kind of waiting, you know, and that's just a good metaphor for me to keep it in check, you know. And it's one of the reasons why I used to fuck around a lot back when I first started getting clean, and I'd be like, I was so resentful that like I could hang out with people I really dug, and they could just put away 3 glasses of wine, and then they'd walk away and they'd maybe drink next week. I'd be around people who could smoke pot, you know. For me, my disease, it just it never worked. Every time I would just pick up the one thing, it would just ultimately spiral really fast and lead back to me copping. And so
you can never have one drink or one smoke. It'd be like you'd have to.
I don't see the point in. It's been 19 years now, Rosie.
Jesus.
19 years.
Congratulations, man.
I don't see the point in spinning that roulette wheel, and like, why would I? I just, but that's like I say, I would never be like, I've got that. Because I bet the house that I could drink a glass of wine tonight and not use tomorrow. I would bet the house. Am I going to take that risk though? Am I going to make that bet? Oh, no, dude, because it makes no sense.
Well, because then it probably starts, I did it then, I could do it again. And I could do it again until you really fuck up and you go down that hole.
Yep. And I was also treating undiagnosed, mental issues that thankfully, as I got into recovery, and I came up against a lot of, conflict in the recovery community, and anybody who has experienced the recovery community or anyone who's ever been privy to it knows that there's as much inner infighting and different opinions about how things work as there are in like religions. You know what I mean? It's like, it's so crazy. And there are people that were like taking psychiatric medications was some form of, drug use. And I was like, well, tough shit. I worked with a great psychiatrist and I found a medication that worked incredibly well for me after, a lot of work. And that's a part of my journey as well, So yeah, that's the only, my allergy medicine. I take something for cholesterol, some vitamins, some fish oils, some proteins. Those are the only things I'm ingesting anymore.
Do you think that you were like, were there reasons sometimes people just get into something like, drugs, but was there a depression then? Was there some sort of imbalance before that kind of prompted you to get into that?
For certain. And I think I've always wanted to talk to you about your experience considering, what you did with Impastor, like how much research or digging you did into the religious world or where that, affected you personally, or if you had any experience with that. I was raised very religiously. To the point that when I started exhibiting suicidal ideation and depressive behavior at a pretty young age, prepubescent, like 10, 11, I was, I had my first like full-on planned suicide. And I was treated with religious counseling, like Christian counseling, where, you sit with the guy and he tells you that you're, feeling anxiety because you've been whacking off, and he gives you some scriptures to read, and that's your treatment. And God love my parents, they just didn't know better. I'm not blaming them, but I think then when I first got my hands around a Budweiser bottle and I felt that sweet, sweet elixir hit my lips, and I was like, oh, I feel like kind of normal. And then it was like, what else could make me feel normal? And then it was just the quest,
Wow. I mean, so at an early age, you were already getting these suicidal thoughts. You already knew something was not quite right, and your parents didn't know how to help you. So it just kind of, you went into a tailspin, I guess, eventually, right?
Yeah.
And they couldn't control it.
I was what you call high functioning, in the sense that like I was definitely scholastically, above average throughout high school. I participated in extracurricular activities. I loved theater and the arts. I also loved sport, and I loved having a good time, obviously. But, I was, it was a dangerous concoction because I was very good at, I was a good actor. I was good at pretending like, I was okay. And I think,
how did you get off it? What was the final? Because you used to have to hit. I guess you have to hit rock bottom before something happens, right? And
I was homeless. Anybody who is checking out this conversation and wants to, I wrote and acted in a film that my dear friend Colin Shipley directed called Animals. Yes. And if you guys ever get a chance to check it out, it's not my biopic, but it is definitely inspired by the reality. And in the film, you know, a guy and his girlfriend live in their car. And I lived in a car for quite a while. I was stealing anything I could to resell to support my habit. It was terrible, man. I was thoroughly ashamed of myself as soon as I would start to get sick or come down and withdrawal. The shame and the guilt of what I had done with my life and all this opportunity, having been a privileged white kid from Kansas City who had gotten to go study acting at this amazing school, was throwing his life away on like smack. I was so ashamed and so embarrassed. And the voices that were like, you're no good to the world. You're no good to anybody who loves you, because all you do is continue to bring them misery and suffering. Why don't you do everybody one solid in your life? Like, finally do that one solid and actually think about everyone but yourself for a minute and just be done and just end it. And so I've made several attempts in my life, but the most serious attempt, which I came, you know, as close as you probably can come to committing suicide. And by a miracle, nothing short of a miracle, I survived. I was put into a state psychiatric facility in Illinois. I was able to spend 30 days without drugs because I was kind of strapped to a cot. And then as I came out of that, I had learned some basic tools, and I had gotten a taste of recovery and the potential of what was there. And my family was right there to say, we love you. We're here to support you. And I realized that all that illusion that my brain had been, you know, tricking me into was just that, an illusion, and that I was going to use these tools that I had started to learn. And I fucked up numerous times. It took me a whole other year from that point to continue to relapse, continue to disappoint myself and others, continue to like screw up. But I got there, man. And I spent like 3 or 4 years in Chicago, just working a day job and smoking cigarettes and writing. And I never thought I would get to act again. I never thought I would get to, be creative in a professional sense, but I definitely was grateful because I had a futon and a TV and a cat. And, and then sure as shit, some friends of mine from the old theater days saw me working in the movie theater where I was working at nights, and were like, we're doing this Oscar Wilde play, or I'm starting a theater company. And they kind of pulled me lovingly back to where I belonged, which was up on stage, memorizing text and creating characters.
It's where you belong. It's amazing how your mind, especially when you're on something, can just go to one place, which is, let me do the world a favor by ending it, as opposed to, let me get clean and be successful, and that way, let's go that way. But you don't think of that way. There's nothing left. You know what I mean? That's what it does. It just clouds your thoughts, and it just depresses you even more and more. It is a miracle that I'm so glad you're alive.
Thanks, man.
I mean, Jesus. But, Animals, I hear there was a rumor that for a long time you didn't want to associate yourself with the character exactly. Is that right? Like, you didn't want, you yes. thought that, where you didn't want people to think, oh, this is me. You're like, this is just a character I wrote, and it's not me. And it took you time to really sort of say, hey, this is based on me.
That's true. I felt like once I started to work as an actor, that the stigma around both, mental illness and addiction were going to cloud or impede my ability to get opportunities, which is probably just me projecting my own still shame that I was working through onto myself. So when we went into making Animals, I said to Colin, I said to Mary Pat Bentel, who was one of our producers on the film, I said to Eve, my wife, and everybody else, I was like, we don't need to talk about the fact that I was an addict. Like, I'm here as a resource if we have any questions, but like, I don't want people to know. And they all gently would say,
Why?
of course. Well, first they would go, we respect your anonymity, and anybody, again, who's watching or listening, know that, like, if you choose to get clean and sober, your anonymity is sacrosanct, and you never have to tell people. You don't have to. And I didn't have to at all. What was beautiful was the reassurance from, like, Eve and Colin and Mary Pat and all my other friends that were like, we think this movie's going to be really powerful. We think there's an opportunity for you don't have to preach to anybody. You don't have to tell them how to do it. You don't have to tell them where to go to rehab. You don't have to tell them which meeting to go to. Just seeing, because at that point I would have been, I don't know, 10 years, 11 years clean. Just seeing that in itself is an example that can inspire people. And so we were filming a particularly challenging, every day on that movie was so hard. And a reporter from the Chicago Tribune came to set to do like a set visit and an interview about filming in Chicago. And we went for a walk around Uptown, and she said, we had a really lovely conversation. And then she said, where did this story come from? And I was, standing on a corner of a neighborhood in Uptown where I had first started to live when I had gotten clean. And I kind of saw it all come into focus. And I said, what the hell? Here's my story. And ever since then, it's been nothing but beautiful. But again, you're not required to do that. I mean, 13 stepping, 12 stepping, however you choose to go about sharing your message, if you are, in the road to recovery is beautiful, but it's not required. You can always keep your privacy and go to meetings. You don't have to tell anybody. For me, it has become one of the great gifts, speaking, doing interviews, talking about it, and giving people hopefully just a little glimmer of like that it can really happen.
I love that. I love that you're so open about it, because there are people out there that need help, that need to hear this. And they have to know that they don't have to say anything if they don't want to. And if they feel open to talk about it to help other people, they can do whatever they want. Not to say this is funny, but it kind of amused me. Is it true that in the premiere of the movie, you were sitting next to Eve's dad, and there was a scene where the character was injecting heroin in his own penis, and you sat next to your wife's father during this? How uncomfortable was that?
On a scale of 1 to 10, It was about a 450. And get this, I was by myself. So Eve, Colin, and the rest of the team was in. We had we released in like 14 cities through Oscilloscope when we came out. So the premiere in LA happened the same night as the premiere in New York. So I was the only person repping the film in New York. And Eve is from New York. So her incredible family, who loves me so much, and they're so supportive. And I'm like, God, can you imagine? When I started dating Eve, you got to know I was an ex-junkie, a divorcee, an actor. Can you imagine? And her dad and her mom, they were both so open to loving me and getting to know me. And I'll always be so grateful. So I'm sitting there next to her dad, and we had, he had said, like put the hand on the shoulder, like, I'm very proud of you. I know you've been through a lot, and I'm really proud of you, really, really glad you're here. But we never like gotten into it, and we're sitting there. There's a scene where I'm jamming a needle in my groin. There's a scene where my butt cheeks are out. There's a scene where this guy's asking this girl if he could come on her face. I mean, it is like a rough ride.
Boy. Oh boy. And what did he?
You know what? They had tears in their eyes, and they gave me big hugs when the movie was over. And I'll always be so grateful to Eve's family, because
oh my God,
I think that would freak me out as a dad if I came walking in the door.
Yeah, I could just imagine her father sitting there, and it's just like his eyes were like, no, stay straight, keep looking forward, don't look at him. Don't look at him. Don't put your hand on him. You're thinking about patting his leg, like it's okay. Don't do it. Maybe he didn't do that. I don't know. Let's just keep it going. Let's just keep watching this film. But wow, I mean, I know my parents, I couldn't have done that. Kudos to her family. They accept you. That's the whole part of it too, is being accepted for your flaws or whatever. I think it's a beautiful thing. Look,
they do. They accept me and they love me, and they've never made me feel like anything other than, and I don't fit in great with, I mean, her dad's a golf guy and, he's sports guy and he's very, he's run nursing homes his whole life. And, but you know what I love about them? They always try to find a common ground with me and they always connect with me. And I try to do the same. And they've, they're my family, they're like, I'm just so lucky. I married a woman who has such an amazing family, and I've got an amazing family too. And I love Eve's relationship with my family as well.
That's great. It's rare. It's rare. I mean, you've done Dune, Ant-Man, you've done all these roles. Suicide Squad comes up, and I remember that James Gunn, there was a video that was made. It was where James Gunn and Dave, our good buddy Dave, were singing a song from what? Set it up.
Blue Velvet, In Dreams sequence from Blue Velvet. Yes, Dave. Yes.
And who directed it? Dave.
Dave directed it, and James played the Dennis Hopper character from Blue Velvet, and Dave played the Dean Stockwell character. I played the Kyle MacLachlan character, and Dave wanted to recreate that incredible sequence from Blue Velvet. And yes.
And it was amazing. It's really captivating, riveting. I love it. I laughed my ass off when I saw it because it's all my friends in the video. And James says that it's from this little video that you did. Tell me if I'm wrong. But he said you had, like, the way you were filmed was so unique and you had such an incredible face that's where you popped in his mind about Polka-Dot Man. Is that true?
I believe that is true. I believe that I heard him say that he was watching me that night when we were filming, and he was like, it's either that's my Polka-Dot Man or that guy has got such a crazy look on his face that I got to do something with him. What a gift, man. What a gift. Like, it's such a interesting thing. Like, I don't think I've ever talked about work with you. I don't know if I've ever talked about work with James. I don't think most of my friends who do what we do, it's like when we get together, we're either playing games or we're talking about politics or who knows what we're talking about, but it's never like work stuff. So you just don't think the opportunity to get to collaborate with your friends, which now, after the last couple of years, I am so fucking committed to like creating stories and opportunities where me and my friends can collaborate, because it's just,
I'll remember that.
I'll remember
that.
Seriously, dude, me and Steve Agee are like writing stuff right now. I write all the time. I'm committed to this because life is so short, man. It's so short. And I love what we do, but I love it even more when you're getting to like do it with people that you love. And not to say that there's not wonderful people you meet on the journey and you meet strangers and they become your friends, but like how great would it be if we got to,
that's exactly right. To work with your friends is something special. To be able to hire your friends on something is just, it's unique. It's hard to be able to do. And I mean, not really. I mean, you could shoot things for free and just hire your friends and keep doing it and have fun on all different levels. Give me the conversation when James called you and told you you want to play.
He texted me.
He texted you.
He texted me. I was in Scotland. I wrote another film with a mutual friend of ours. I didn't write it with her, but she starred in it, called All Creatures Here Below, which Karen Gillan stars in.
Yep.
And so I was in Scotland at the Glasgow Film Festival presenting the movie. So we were like 6 hours ahead of, maybe 7 hours ahead of James. And he texted me, it's kind of late for me, like 11 or 12 at night. And he said, I want you to be part of the Suicide Squad. And I was like, because I knew he was making the movie and I was so excited because I just loved the idea of James Gunn making the Suicide Squad. Right. And so then I called him right back and, he was like, I want you to play Polka-Dot Man. And I was like, you know this about me. I'm a huge comic nerd. I've been collecting comics my whole life, and I know nothing about the Polka-Dot Man. I knew nothing about Advertisements.
Right.
I was thoroughly embarrassed because I've always been excited at the prospect that if I ever got like a big role in like a superhero movie, I'd be the guy that would be like, oh, well, which phase are we talking about? Was it, and which writer were we, what was the inspiration? And I was like,
But you knew nothing.
I knew nothing. And then he sent me the script, and it was so beautiful, man. It was so incredible. And he didn't know this about me, but I have, vitiligo, these spots. Can you see them on the camera?
A little bit, yes.
Body.
Yep.
So
it's kind of a white patch, like white patches,
I have
right?
white patches basically all over my body that haunted me as a kid and were, the things that we think others are judging us by or care about, are so we're so wrong so much of the time. But that was something that really I did get picked on about it. And I had polka dots, spots, milk mustache. I had a lot of bad nicknames, but
Jesus.
I said to him, like, you don't even know how incredible this opportunity is. And not to mention the fact that I have these spots. And he was like, I don't even know that. He's like, I've been friends with you for, at that point, 5 or 6 years, maybe. And he was like, I had no idea.
Unbelievable.
Eve doesn't know that I'm talking to you. She's trying to call me. Eve, I'll call you back.
Say, Eve, I'm talking to Rosenbaum. You know this because I told her last night. I'm not saying this because you're just with me, but I've told everybody when I see the movie that you steal the movie entirely. I thought that your character, it was absolutely my favorite character. It was touching. Just the way you played it. If you haven't seen Suicide Squad, your character Polka-Dot Man is superb. It's superb the way you play it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I just had to trust myself. James wrote, he created something so beautiful in all of his characters. He never underwrites a character. Obviously, it's James Gunn. He's going to write every one of his characters with 360 degrees, fully, dimensional. But I felt such a special connection to this. And anytime I was trying to put any English on it, anytime I was trying to really, gleam it up or anything, it was so great because he could come in and just be like, you ain't got to do nothing. Just be honest. Just say the lines. And he knew, I felt the way that Polka-Dot Man has felt a lot. Maybe not in such extreme ways. Maybe I don't have an intergalactic virus, but I do have things that I'm ashamed of. And I have felt, obviously depressed. And so, yeah, it was. And you know what? Thank you for saying that, too. I feel like everybody steals that movie.
I know. There's a lot of great characters, but you're the one that touched me the most. You're the one that I immediately gravitated towards. And at the end, I was just like that. There was a lot of great characters, no doubt about it. Your character resonated with me. There was something, you have magnetism. You have that, whatever it is, you're drawn to you on screen. And especially in that role, I feel like a lot of people, that's why you're seeing the rising in your Instagram numbers and all these things, because I think that it's such a great character. It's memorable. You're a McFarlane toy, for God's sakes. But, it's
so crazy. It's so crazy. I FaceTimed with Arlo and Penny. They just got back to LA from New York yesterday, and I FaceTimed with them earlier, and the McFarlane toy and the Funko had arrived at the house in our absence, and that we had ordered. And so they were playing with them on FaceTime for me, showing me. It was surreal to say the least. That
is the cutest.
So weird.
How hard is it, honestly, to work on I don't want to say James Gunn film, but a movie with so much action, with so much going on? How exhausting is it on a day-by-day basis?
It's hard. It's exhausting. Luckily, it was such a huge ensemble that there was definitely downtime in between. You would work really hard for a few days on a scene, and then maybe they'd be on to some other piece, or it would be on to someone else's part of it, and but and they were really good. I mean, James plans everything so thoroughly before you go into shooting, and he works so intimately with his AD and his producers. So they knew they had such a great map of what we were doing that even though it was so huge and so massive and so overwhelming, like every day was 10 hours. We would get in there, we would work our asses off and make discoveries and then go. I had not done anything physically like that before. There's a scene where thousands of gallons of water come flooding down on us and we're trying to swim against this massive torrent of water. There's stuff that you don't really see where we get dropped into the ocean and had to swim through like this crazy ocean that James had built. Leave it to only James Gunn. He could build an ocean in the middle of Georgia. Like, holy shit, dude. It was so crazy. Running with a cable and trying to like jump through the air like I'm leaping from building to building. Like, it was crazy, dude.
Yeah, it is insane. All right, this is called Shit Talking with Dave Dastmalchian.
Okay, shit talking.
This is rapid fire. Leanne P, these are my lovely patrons. They support the podcast in many ways. I love them, and they just have quick questions. Leanne P, what has been your favorite character to portray besides Polka-Dot Man?
Probably Jude in Animals.
Rightfully so. Rozzy, what's your favorite moment of the set of Suicide Squad?
My favorite moment on the set of Suicide Squad was when I had my big I'm a superhero moment and I got really scared and I didn't know if I could get where I needed to get, and all the moving pieces were going. It was a huge day in Panama. There's hundreds of crew. There's maybe 500 extras. There's Idris Elba standing next to me. It's like, oh my God, the pressure's on. And James, who is booming voice is coming through the God mic, which is, reverberating all over, just like comes to me. We had this really beautiful conversation, just the two of us kind of underneath an awning where nobody could hear. And he got me really in the most beautiful way, like where I needed to be. And then I yelled, I'm a superhero. I'm a motherfucking superhero. And it was just a great moment. And
then boom.
Yeah, that was it.
That's awesome. Matthew J. Hey, David. How has working on Dune been compared to other projects you've worked on in the past? Did you read the novels before you got cast? And thanks, I love your performances, especially the one in Prisoners.
Thank you, Matthew. I working on Dune, as with every Denis Villeneuve experience, is something that's very hard to quantify. It's a dream as an actor. He is an actor's director for certain. He loves nurturing and giving you clues and bringing you along, but also allowing you to make discovery. He's intensely imaginative. And I've been a fan of the Frank Herbert novel for a very long time. I also loved the movie when I was a kid. And I hadn't seen it maybe when I was in college, I should say. I loved it when I was in college and I would get stoned and watch Dune. And I haven't watched it in a long time, but I had read Dune, Children of Dune, and I was very excited. That one, just out of the blue, fell into my lap. And when he told me he wanted me to play Piter to Freeze, I was so excited. And it was hard. It was hard, I will say, because the character is a mentat who is a human who, from the moment of birth, has been raised to basically be a human computer, computational brain functions enhanced by the spice that is, very data driven and just strictly computing and almost and because he's twisted and he's been twisted by the bad guys, by the Baron, my character is also it's kind of like a clinical sociopath computer. And that was hard because it's like emotionless.
Oh, yeah.
If you're going to torture somebody, it's emotionless. There's no I'm getting revenge on you.
Right.
But and I'm glad you liked Prisoners. I think that's a beautiful film. And again, that's the movie I met Denis on, and I've been so lucky that he's now continued to cast me in his films.
Raj, what is the biggest, I think we know the answer. Well, maybe. What's the biggest sacrifice you've had to make to pursue an acting career?
The biggest sacrifice I've had to make to pursue an acting career was early on. You sacrifice all sense of stability and constancy. And as you're getting into recovery and mental wellness, one of the tenets of that is building for yourself a life that has a great deal of structure, constancy, consistency, because that's a safe place to exist when you have, vasculating moods, when you have a propensity towards addiction. So I took that leap, and I'm really grateful I did. It can be hard, as I told you earlier in the conversation. Sometimes it's really hard, but I think that is it. And
you're exercising, you're doing all these things to, like, when you get depressed, when you get down, you're at the last leg of this film. You force yourself to get out of bed. Like you said, I remember my therapist said, "What are you doing in the morning?" I go, "I lie in bed." "Well, how long do you lie there?" And I'm like, "Well, I just keep lying there." And she goes, "Do you feel better?" I'm like, "No." "What happens?" "I get anxiety." "Why are you lying in the fucking bed? Get out of bed. Go do something." There are little basic things you're like, so now I'm like, stop, out. You're out of bed now. Now you're not tired. Now you're just thinking, you're in your head. Now it's time to get out of bed. There's certain things you do. What else do you do?
Yeah. First thing I do right when I get out of bed is I have this YouTube channel that I subscribe to, Yoga by Cassandra, 10-minute daily yoga. I took the 10-minute challenge a long time ago, and I've been doing it ever since. I hate yoga. Are you kidding me? I fucking hate it, but I love it. It's been great.
I love it. And you meditate, and that's great. Well, look, dude, this has been awesome. I'm so glad you were able to talk to me. You're like, how many hours ahead of me?
9.
9 hours. So what time is it there for you?
9 p.m. now.
Do you work tomorrow?
I might work tonight, actually. I just saw a bunch of texts from the ADs that I've been ignoring. We're on overnights.
You might work tonight and you're doing this podcast?
I might. We're at that point, too, where they're like, we had to move 233 to, now we're doing 241. And I'm like, I hate when they do that. Like, you're supposed to know what 241 is, or like what scene numbers are what. I'm like, is that the one where I'm fighting Dracula? Or is that the one where? So you have to
you have to pretty much learn your lines, the whole script. Do you learn it before you get in there? So in case they switch around?
You know what was helpful for this movie? And I do have a good number of lines in the film, even though my character's kind of a quiet guy. Working with my dialect coach meant we were going through the script before we even went into production. So I was more familiar with my text than I've been in a long time, which was nice. It was really nice. So when things would flip-flop and when they would go, "Oh, you're doing that scene where you give that fucking speech today instead of next week," I'd be like, okay, cool.
Isn't that something?
And my dialect coach, they also, they recorded all of my lines, them saying it. So if I couldn't get a hold of them or if I had to do a scene like that, I would just skip ahead to and listen and be like, "Oh, that's right. Devil, not devil, devil, or whatever."
The devil, the devil said this. Jesus. Well, hey man, this has been awesome.
Real quick, I got something because I feel like we breezed by this earlier. We were talking about Gary Oldman. David very famously had a scene with Gary Oldman in The Dark Knight, and I just want to hear what that was like.
Oh God, what was it like working with Gary Oldman? Great interjection.
Because David had to play the unhinged one, and Gary Oldman had to be the straight man.
Wow.
Well, 2 stories of so the first day I was ever on a film set was The Dark Knight in Chicago. I went into hair and makeup, and along the makeup line was Heath Ledger getting his Joker makeup put on, Gary Oldman, Christian Bale, Aaron Eckhart, me, Maggie Gyllenhaal, and Nestor Carbonell. It was this really long hair and makeup trailer. And I was like, and I met him briefly. He was super nice. He had the mustache. He was, he was Gordon through and through. And then when I was in London, I got to go to London to shoot the second part of my stuff, which is where Harvey Dent, tortures me and or interrogates me. And Gary's trailer was next to mine. And I used to smoke cigarettes, and he was smoking cigarettes at the time. So every time I'd hear him open his door to have a smoke, I would happen to just be open. I would be listening at the window, like, and then the door would open and I'd be like, oh, fancy running into you again. How's it going? And he was super cool, super nice, very chill, very, unassuming, as Gordon is. I mean, he had that energy kind of and I don't know if that's how he always works, but he definitely felt, like just this nice, quiet Midwestern guy, even though that's not who he is in real life at all.
He's my hero. He's my favorite actor of all time. There's no doubt about it.
He's a master.
I remember my friend was working at Carmine's in New York, Carmine's restaurant, it's an Italian restaurant. And he calls me on the home phone because, they were on cell phones. And I'm living with 3 guys in a 1 bedroom. And he says, Gary Oldman is here. He just came in with Isabella Rossellini for dinner. I go, I'll be there in 20. So I didn't have much money, but I got a taxi, went across town, and I waited till they were done with dinner. And when they were done with dinner, about to get the check, I just walked up and I said, I just got to tell you, hi, Mrs. Rossellini. Mr. Oldman, you're my favorite actor of all time. And, I really love you. And I just, flew here from Kentucky from college. And, and he's like, you're an actor. And I said, yeah. He's like, I've flown over Kentucky a few times. And I said, oh, that's great. He goes, and we'll work together. We will. And he just, but it was an intensity he had, that Gary Oldman intensity that he just looked at me because I said, I really want to work. He goes, we will work together. And I'll never forget it. I'm like, to this day, I'm like, one day I'm going to work with Gary Oldman. I'm going to say, hey, you said we'll work together. And he goes, yeah, I don't remember that. But
it's going to happen. Let's manifest that.
Manifest it, man. I mean, he's the best. He is the best. Favorite Gary Oldman movie.
You're the best. This was great. I love that I got you inside of me finally.
Finally.
I feel like it feels really nice.
It does.
Warm and
toasty.
Really, yeah.
Listen,
nice.
You are so engaging. You're so open. You're welcome to come on anytime. I love this. It's a long time coming. I wish you continued success. I love your family. I can't wait till you're back. Please invite me to a game night. I'm double vaxxed. I'd love to hang out with you.
Cannot wait.
All
Cannot
right.
wait. All right.
Say goodbye in Polish with a Polish accent.
Okay. This was very nice conversation. Thank you very much. And bye.
I love you.
Love you, man.
Bye. I hope you enjoyed that. He got really personal, talked about his heroin addiction, which was pretty mind-boggling how he got out of that, how he survived. He's a survivor, and he works every day on himself. And it just comes to show you that, you put the work in and you change your patterns and you change your behaviors that you can change. Mm-hmm. You can change for the better. And he's got a pretty great life, but it's a work in progress. He's always working on himself. He says it's not like it's easy. You have to do the work.
Yeah.
So thank you. And once again, if you want to join Patreon, patreon.com/inside of you, give to the podcast a little more. I love sending boxes and little notes to all the top tier patrons. I love doing an occasional YouTube live. I like doing all sorts of shit with my patrons. I love you guys. And remember, I'm going to be in Detroit the weekend of October 15th with Tom Welling. So we'll do a small little nights. We'll do some signings and all that jazz. And another last shout out to my good buddy, Preston Christensen. Love the guy. So I just want to give a shout out to him. And here are the top patrons. Let's do it.
Cool.
Nancy D, Leah S, Trisha, Sarah V, Little Lisa, Yukiko, Jill E. Yukiko's still with us. Look at that. Brian H, Mama Lauren G, Nico, Jerry W, Robert B, Jason W, Apothean, Kristen K, Amelia O, Allison L, Raj C, Joshua D, Emily S. I got to see a lot of these guys when I was in West Virginia. And it was
really?
a real treat. I got to see a lot of patrons.
Oh, nice.
And it was wonderful. CJP, Samantha M, Jennifer
N.
Mm-hmm. You're damn right.
I'm damn right.
Stacy L, Jen S, Jamal F, Janelle B, Carrie B, Tabitha 272, not to be confused with.
Tabitha 273.
Kimberly
E.
Mike
E.
Eldon Supremo, 99 more, Ramira, Santiago M, Sarah F, Chad W, Leanne P, Janine R, Maya P, Maddie S, Shannon D, Belinda N, Kevin V, James R, Chris H, Dave H, Spider-Man Chase, Sheila
G.
Brad
D.
Correct, Ray H, Tabitha T, Liliana A, Turd K.
Turd K?
Yeah, that's Michelle. It's Turd. It's Turd something. It's Turd Burglar, Turd Ferguson, maybe?
Yeah, I said that last week. Turd
Did I get it
Ferguson.
right?
Yeah.
Turd Ferguson. I think that's who it is. Michael S. Talia M. Betsy D. What up, Betsy? Claire M. Laura L. Chad L. Rochelle. Nathan E. Marianne. Meg K. Janelle P. Trav L. Dan N. Lorraine G. Carrie H. Veronica K. Big Stevie.
W.
Kendall T. Angel M. Rhiannon C. Corey K. Here's the last list. Super Sam. Coleman G. Dev Nexon. Michelle A. Liz I. Is it I?
Yeah.
Straight line.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Jeremy C. Hi, Jeremy. Andy T. Cody R. Sebastian K. Gavinator N. H. David C. Elliot M. John B. Brandy.
Carlisle.
No. Brandy D. Yavor. Camille S. Bono or Bano. Bono. The C. The C. Joey M. Willie F. Christina E. Adelaide N. Jeffrey M. Bridget A. Omar I. Lena N. and Design OTG. Without you guys, I don't know what I would do. You save the podcast. You help the podcast by being a patron, and every patron out there that gives to the podcast. So thank you very much. This has been a glorious episode. I loved having Dave Dastmalchian on the podcast. And anything you want to say, Ryan? Are you doing well?
I'm doing okay.
You're doing okay. You've been traveling a little bit.
I want to say I went to a concert for the first time, and
I saw your shirt.
And this band Lake Street Dive. I saw them at the Wiltern. It was a proof of vaccination required and masked the whole time, and it was wonderful.
Thanks for clarifing. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
They were great.
Yeah.
Lake Street Dive.
Lake
You're
Street
giving them a
Dive,
shout out.
Giving them a shout out. Also, God, just man, it was when I brought a friend who had never heard of them before, and he was dancing the whole time, so it was really fun.
Awesome. I like hearing that. Good shout out.
Yeah.
Also, so if you want any Sunspin merch, my band merch, or want to Zoom with me, go to sunspin.com. You can get all your merch there. And if you want any Inside of You merch, go to Inside of You online store. You can get Lex Luthor stuff, small little lunch boxes. You can get all sorts of shit and a lot of Inside of You cool stuff, tumblers, autograph stuff. Thank you for listening. Thank you for spending an hour of your day with Ryan and myself. That's about all I got today, guys. So, life's good. Keep moving. Keep going. I had, let's just say a friend had some major problems this past week, and it got pretty dark. And I'm glad I was there for that friend. And but it really, really was tough on me. It was tough. I don't want to get into it, but I'll just say it's good to be a good friend. If you got a good friend and you see some behavioral things and you think they're going down the hill, talk to them. People just need someone to talk to, someone who actually sounds like they give a shit. Not just like, how are you? You know how people always say, how are you? Oh, I'm good. Oh, great. Next time someone says, hey, you doing? They're passerbys. I'm going to go, I'm all right. Excuse me? What? That was weird. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for allowing me to be inside each and every one of you, from Michael Rosenbaum
And Ryan Tails.
up here in the Hollywood Hills of California. You guys, much love to you. We'll see you on the flip side.